The prosecution drops Vice President Sara Duterte's Chief of Staff Zuleika Lopez as a witness in the impeachment trial. Prosecution witness Jeremy Lotok says the agency did not find relevant threats against Duterte. Duterte says there's no evidence she enlisted an assassin, a point the prosecution says is irrelevant to her alleged grave threats offense. President Donald Trump says the US will charge fees to keep the Strait of Hormuz open. And Filipino tennis star Alex Eala promises to continue representing the Philippines in the best way. The prosecution drops Vice President Sara Duterte's Chief of Staff Zuleika Lopez as a witness in the impeachment trial. Private Prosecutor Lorna Kapunan says it is totally unnecessary to call Lopez to the witness stand.
Or we would want to have proven three things. First, that she was personally present inside that detention center when the Vice President uttered the video Exhibit P-4-10 when she uttered the statements that she had already contracted a killer to kill the President, the First Lady, and the Speaker of the House.
Lopez was in the Senate on Monday, July 13 and Tuesday, July 14, waiting to be called as a witness and would have likely been a hostile witness for the prosecution. Lopez was the reason for Duterte's visit to the House of Representatives on November 21, 2024, when the Vice President locked herself inside her brother's office. Days later, Duterte held the infamous virtual media conference where she threatened the life of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. Meantime, the prosecution also says it will no longer call House Security Officer Belinda Bello. Prosecution witness and NBI Regional Director Jeremy Lotok says the agency did not find relevant threats against Vice President Sara Duterte. This on the 5th day of Duterte's impeachment trial.
Trinay naming i-check yun, Your Honor. Ang nakita lang naming relevant information as to the security, yung pagbabawas ho ng 75 PNP personnel from BP SPG, if I'm not mistaken.
In 2024, the Philippine National Police removed 75 policemen as Duterte security personnel, citing shortage of personnel for ground duties. The defense argues Duterte was pushed to the edge by the so-called Operation Romanov, an alleged plot to eliminate the Duterte family. Defense lawyer Mark Vinluan also questions the NBI's alleged bias in investigating threats against high-ranking officials. He claims the Bureau thoroughly investigated the threats against the President but did not do the same for the Vice President. But Lotok says the NBI also launched a motu proprio investigation into the alleged threats against Duterte but found no concrete threat. Vice President Sara Duterte says her impeachment trial has yielded no evidence she enlisted an assassin to kill President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. This despite the prosecution arguing that grave threats she stated in two viral videos on their own constitute an impeachable offense. In a statement on Tuesday afternoon, July 14, Duterte denies there was ever an assassin. She writes, the complaint is not supported by evidence, repeatedly claiming that there were threats when none existed, inventing an assassin when there was none, and fabricating evidence to support those claims does not transform fiction into fact. However, the complaint is not that she enlisted an assassin, but that she said she enlisted an assassin. Duterte also claims the impeachment proceedings are not credible. This as the impeachment court hears arguments on two videos presented by the prosecution as evidence that she issued grave threats against the first couple and then House Speaker Martin Romualdez. The first video from November 23, 2024 shows Duterte saying she enlisted someone to kill the three in case she herself is killed. The second video from November 26, 2024 shows Duterte speaking to reporters and affirming what she said in the first video. Neither the defense nor any of the senator judges questioned the authenticity of the videos. Duterte was officially summoned to the trial but has so far snubbed the hearings, leaving her defense to her lawyers. US President Donald Trump says the US will reinstate its blockade of Iranian shipping in the Strait of Hormuz and will charge fees to keep the waterway open. This as the US military carries out a third consecutive night of strikes against Iran. The U.S. Central Command says it began strikes after Trump said Iran would be, quote, hit very hard tonight and we're going to hit them hard tomorrow. He later tells reporters at the White House that the U.S. was attacking Iranian capabilities in the Strait. Soon after, the UAE Ministry of Defense also says Iranian cruise missiles struck 2 Emirati oil tankers while passing through the southern lane of the strait. Trump says the USA will be from this point forward known as the guardian of the Hormuz Strait, but as such and as a matter of fairness, will be reimbursed at the rate of 20% on all cargo shipped. Filipino tennis star Alex Eala promises to continue representing the Philippines in the best way. This after she receives the presidential citation at Malacañang. Her homecoming follows her historic run at the Wimbledon Championship.
Lubos kong ipinagmamalaki ang pagiging Pilipino. I carry the flag with me wherever I go. And I am a firm believer that where you come from is a big part of who you are.
Eala also enjoys a rousing reception from President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. at Malacañang. Marcos hails Eala as the embodiment of the Filipinos' greatest qualities. Eala has this message to young Filipinos.
Unang-una, sa mga kabataan, huwag kayong matakot mangarap ng malaki. At ipursige kung ano yung mahal nyo sa buhay, ano yung mga passions nyo, ano yung gusto nyong gawing career.
And that's today's wrap. I'm JC Gotinga. Thank you for watching. Click the link below for the full story. For more updates, download the wRap app.